All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to unpack a huge concept in Islam, adl, or divine justice. Seriously, this one idea shapes how millions of people see the world, their sense of right and wrong, and their whole place in the universe. You know that feeling, right? We see it on the news, maybe we feel it in our own lives. That sting of unfairness. It's something every single one of us gets. But that makes you wonder, if we're all so good at spotting injustice, what would its total opposite, I mean, perfect, flawless justice even look like?
So where do we even start to look for an answer to a question that big? Well, in Islamic theology, the whole idea of perfect justice starts with God himself. Let's dig into what that actually means.
Okay, so the Arabic word for this is adl, and it's super important to get this right off the bat. This isn't just about what a judge does in a courtroom. Adl is about a perfect, divine justice that isn't something God does, it's part of who God is.
And that is such a critical distinction. Justice isn't some optional extra that God can decide to use or not. Adl is seen as a fundamental part of God's very being. He can't be unjust. It's like saying a circle can't be a square. It would just go against its own basic nature. This whole belief is anchored in verses from the Qur'an, and the way it's described is just so powerful. Not even by the weight of an atom. Think about that, the smallest possible thing you can imagine. This line alone sets up this bedrock of absolute trust in God's perfect fairness.
Okay, so if perfect justice is a core part of God's nature, what does that mean for us, for people? You know, how does this huge divine idea actually translate into a responsibility for us, right here on Earth?
Well, the logic is pretty straightforward. If you believe in a perfectly just God, then that belief comes with a job to do. His justice becomes the blueprint for your own actions. Adl isn't just some idea to admire from a distance. It's the standard you're supposed to live by in everything you do.
And the standard for this human justice? Whoa, it is incredibly high. The Quran actually tells believers to stand up for justice even when it goes against themselves or their own family. Just pause and think about that for a second. That's asking for a level of impartiality that is radical, almost superhuman. So what this really boils down to is that true justice has to be blind, completely blind to all the things that usually pull our strings. Our feelings, our loyalty to family, whether someone is rich or poor, our own self-interest. From this point of view, the truth is the truth, and it has to stand alone, no matter what. Now, this leads us to what is probably the most difficult, most challenging part of this entire conversation. It's the question that really puts this whole idea of divine justice to the test. This is it. This is the elephant in the room for any talk about a just and all-powerful God, right? Why do good people suffer so much? Why does it seem like the bad guys win all the time? If God's justice is so perfect, why does the world so often feel broke?
Islamic theology offers a really layered answer here. It's not just one thing. First, this life is seen as a test, a place where hardship is meant to build our character and show what our faith is made of. Second, there's the hereafter. This is the idea that perfect justice isn't actually meant for this temporary world. The real balancing of the scales happens in the afterlife. Third is this belief in a hidden wisdom, that things that look totally unfair to us might actually be part of a bigger divine plan we just can't see. And finally, there's human free will. A lot of the suffering we see isn't from God at all. It's the direct result of the choices people make, and we're all held responsible for those choices.
And this gets right to the core of it. What we see and experience in this life is just one chapter. It's not the whole book. The fact that things seem unfair right now doesn't mean divine justice isn't real. It just means the final accounting hasn't happened yet. The belief is that on the day of judgment, every single atom's weight of good and bad will be perfectly, finally balanced.
So let's try to pull all of this together. How does this one concept, adl, become this foundation for a person's entire faith and way of seeing the world?
You can really think of adl as being like two sides of the same coin. On one side, it's a divine attribute. It helps build trust that even when things are confusing or painful, there's a plan rooted in perfect fairness. But then you flip the coin, and it's a human responsibility. It gives you a clear moral compass,
a command to fight against injustice and to live your own life with integrity.
So you see, this is not a passive belief. It's not about just sitting back and waiting. Adl is both a source of comfort when times are tough and a powerful call to get up and do something. It asks you to trust in God's ultimate justice while at the same time demanding that you work to bring that same kind of justice into the world yourself.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. What if Adl challenges us to change how we even think about justice? Maybe it isn't something we have to see with our own eyes in every single moment. Maybe it's a deep trust in an ultimate, perfect, and divine balance that will, in the end, set everything right.